Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss some comments that Pusha T made regarding diss tracks and where he's at in his career. If it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Jay Roebuck, and here we analyze the music business and the business of music. So we're always looking for insight. We have a community where you can always comment, and feel free to let me know what you think, even if you disagree with me, because I'm always willing to have a back and forth as long as it's respectful. Before I get into the details of the video, make sure you cop some merch, make sure you join the Patreon. And I want to shout out all the members here who have been riding with me since the jump. Yesterday I was at Madison Square Garden watching the St. John's game, and they were doing a little video on me, and they put it on during one of the timeouts, and it was on a Jumbotron, and someone who's a member of the community came up to me, found me in the stands, and was like, "Hey, I watch your YouTube channel. I really love what you're doing. Keep going." That to me is the ultimate motivation, that someone could recognize me from YouTube, see me somewhere, recognize my face, recognize the name, and just want to show love. Me and him got a picture. I'll attach it here. So everyone who's here, if you see me outside, always say what's up. I'm always willing to chop it up. But let's not talk any longer. Let's get right into the topic. Pusha T talking about his career and diss tracks. So in a recent interview, Pusha T talks about how he feels about diss tracks at this point in his career. Now, there are two main quotes that I'm going to focus on. Let's start with the first one. It says, "I've been through that chapter and I'm over it. I'm somewhere right now where I don't even want to make music with other people, nevertheless have anybody else in my music be the focus of my music." Now, that on surface level, I think is dope. I actually did the video on NLE Chop, and I said he should just focus on himself and not diss an NBA YoungBoy, and I think it would pay off tenfold for him because he's creative and he's smart. Pusha T is an amazing rapper. I believe that the Clips have the album of the year, the best rap album of the year. So I think at surface level, what he's saying is absolutely correct. But as I dive deeper into it, I don't buy it 100%. Now, I think morally, if you go by just the music and what you see in the public, Pusha T presents himself as a mature, smart individual who operates by an old code of ethics, an old moral compass. But some of his actions don't always align with that. So let me preface this by saying we're all human. We all are hypocritical at some points, but sometimes the things that he says just don't line up with his actions at all. Let's dive into it. So the first part, he's talking about not making music with other people. He just wants it to be himself and obviously his brother and Pharrell, who is their frequent producer and collaborator. So if that's what you're going with, okay. But 5 out of the 13 songs, I believe, on the album, they were features. So you do collaborate with others, right? We know that. And that's okay. But I get what you're saying. You want to maintain the focus on keeping the music just the music. But then on the other hand, when you talk about you don't really want to have that energy where you're talking about other people and not the music, I can't buy that 100%. Look at the rollout that you just did, that the Clips just did for the album Let God Sort 'Em Out. There's a few things that you led with because you knew it would draw controversy, and that was battling and dissing, right? You were talking about Travis Scott in an interview.
He interrupts the session. The next day, the meltdown verse or whatever comes on.
I melt down the chains that I bought from your boss.
You know,
Drake on Travis Scott talking about
melting
Pharrell's jewelry,
and all of that. That was a corny. Like, you shouldn't have been here anyway.
You dissed Travis Scott on the album. So how authentic are these comments? Maybe you just changed like 2 months ago, but over the last year, these are things that you've been leaning into. And then when Travis says something, you'll talk about it on Twitter or talk about it on Reddit. So you do feed into those narratives, and rightfully so, because controversy brings clicks and sales. Another thing that you guys did during the rollout was lean into the Kendrick and Drake angle. You previewed or purposely leaked and performed the record that had Kendrick on it, which people were talking about because they thought it contained a Drake diss. You leaned into the battle again. So we have to be aware that we can't say these things if it's not 100% true. Now, again, shout out to the Clips. You guys are born in the Bronx. I'm a New Yorker. Y'all did both spend time in Harlem. So it's all love. I'm just saying these things because I see it, so I got to call it fair. So I don't think that what you're saying is 100% true, because you have been leaning into verbal warfare your whole career. That's the thing. You never tried to duck from something. So I don't think you really trying to turn a new page and say, oh, I just want to leave that part of my career where it's at, because you just did it on the last album. Not to mention you and Jim having a back and forth. Jim has, I think, done 2 or 3 records where he's calling you out directly, but you didn't directly go back at him. You did it in a subliminal kind of verse. So all throughout the album, there were verses about other people and lines about other people. We can't willfully ignore that and act like that didn't exist. Here's his second quote. Let's read. "It's not the same ransom anymore. Back in the day, to me, I felt like it could be career ending. Now it's not. It doesn't hold as much weight. You still get another shot at it. So here, I'll be quite frank. He's talking to two people, but one person very directly. He's talking about Wayne and he's talking about Drake. But specifically, Drake is the one that's bothering him here. I can't agree here because I don't think the stakes have always been whoever the winner is, the other person's career is over. Jay-Z is Pusha T's favorite rapper. Public perception, the overall public sentiment is that Jay-Z lost that battle to Nas. Jay-Z's career got stronger after either. He even said it himself. So no career ended there. If you want to go to, 50 Cent and Ja Rule's career was never the same. It did not recover. So yeah, it ended it a bit. But I don't think that we've ever seen a real rap career just end, right? Even when you have Jada and 50, you got Fat Joe and 50. No one's career ended. They were altered for a bit. Maybe it was a little bit of a hiccup, but it wasn't over. So I don't know why he felt that he would end a career. Now, when he talks about certain things when it comes to Lil Wayne, that beef is from 2005. This is like 20 years that this thing has been going on. He didn't end Wayne's career. And he dissed Wayne for a very, 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 very long time before Wayne said anything. He was talking about Drake for a very long time before Drake said anything. And even at the end, right, even when public sentiment was, Pusha T won, Pusha T exposed Drake for having a child, which is a whole nother story, which is kind of crazy. I don't think that's something that was exposed, but it didn't end Drake, right? Drake only got bigger and Drake only got better. So I don't understand why he says, it has to be career ending. Why am I doing it? You dissed them for years before they said anything. So why did you continue to go at it and go at it and go at it? Right? In your mind, the whole time you were doing this when they were saying nothing, were you thinking, okay, I'm going to try to end these guys' careers? Did you think that you had a song big enough to end these guys' careers? I wonder what his thought process was for 10 to 12 years before they actually got into the back and forth, because this whole thought process doesn't make sense to me. And I think the overall frustration is really that he wasn't able to end Drake's career, even when people said he won the battle, even when he exposed something, even when Kendrick went at Drake and dropped potentially maybe the greatest diss record of all time when it comes to definitely by the numbers. Drake bounced back, right? His career definitely took a hit, right? There's no denying that. I don't think he would file a lawsuit if he felt he didn't take some sort of an L, right? In terms of public perception, in terms of the rumors that people were saying. He felt that, right? His career will feel that, right? Kendrick definitely chinked the armor. There's no denying that. But he bounced back with the #1 album, with 2 #2 singles, right? It took some time, right? He had to regain his footing. He took a punch, but he got back up. And I think that's what bothers Push the most, because I think what Push sees in Drake is the antithesis for who he believes he is. That is exactly how I think he views Drake, as the person I don't want to be like musically, as a person I don't want to be like individually, as a person I don't want to be like in my real life. So he wanted to see him fall and never recover. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Whether it's the back catalog, whether it's the new music, whether it's the diverse catalog that he has, whether it's the young fan base, the old fan base, the women fan base, you can't stop him. You can't do that. So I think that bothers him very, very deeply and very personally. So those are my thoughts on it, right? I think that Pusha T carries himself and presents himself one way, but sometimes when he talks, I think he talks himself in a circle, and I think he exposes a little bit of the hypocrisy, which again is natural for all people. There's no person who doesn't have some hypocritical moves throughout their life. But I think at this point, if he wants to just say, I just want to do music, I don't want to talk about other people or talk about other people in my music, then go for it. But you can't do things that are just so obviously publicly that go against it. You and Drake shouldn't have any more back and forths. I don't think either of you have anything to gain from it. That moment has gone and passed. I don't think Drake should engage in any other battles. He's really addressed everyone who's went at him over the past 12 years. So I don't think he needs to do it. I think all people should just focus on their own music and give us the best possible quality. 2024 was the year of the diss. Chris Brown and Quavo, Kendrick and Drake, a bunch of female rappers running each other, whether it was Cardi or Nicki, whether it was Meg and Nicki, whoever. It happened. The time has now passed. Just get back to making good music. That's all I care about. Get hip hop back on them charts. Top 10, #1 albums, #1 singles. Bring the notoriety back to the sport. All the other things will lift as the guys at the top of the charts lift. You can always have good music and still be commercially successful. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Is what Pusha T is saying, is it correct? Is he spot on? Does he carry himself and always, uphold the things that he's talking about? Or is he being a bit hypocritical? Or am I just being too harsh and being too deep and reading too deep into it? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things that help me get into that algorithm. I appreciate you all. Again, if it's your first time here, I'm happy to see you here, and I hope to see you back on another video if you've been here before. As always, I appreciate you, family. Happy holidays to everybody out there. I go by the name J Roebuck. Salute.